what I'm going to cover here is Google Tag Manager for beginners. That means you haven't used Google Tag Manager at all, or if you have, you couldn't understand it. So that's what I'm going to cover today. And I want to give you a great foundation in Google Tag Manager so that you can either learn on your own or take courses that'll make sense to you. So before I proceed, let me just talk about me. Who am I? Why are you listening to me? And why do I keep talking in my Facebook group or other places? Uh, some of you already know me. You have taken my courses. Some of you don't know me. So I have 20 plus years experience in digital marketing and analytics. I've been doing web analytics before it was even called web analytics. Prior to Google Analytics existed, prior to Adobe Analytics existed, I used to work for a company where we develop these products, which are web analytics product. And I worked with clients like Microsoft, Nordstrom, Starbucks, etc., leading analytics team and helping them understand what the data means, like the analytics data. We didn't have JavaScript sort of solutions back then, and now we do. I have BTech from Pantnagar, Bachelor of Technology from Pantnagar in India, and moved to US about 27 years ago to do my master's in engineering from University of Tennessee. After my master's, I worked as a software engineer developer, but I was tired of sitting in front of my computer all day long. Irony, I'm sitting right now in front of a computer, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to understand both the business side and the technical side of things. So technical, I was already doing it. Then I went and while I was working for this company, I also joined MBA program at University of Washington, which is where I also taught classes after I was done. And then I've been speaking at various conferences. Uh, I'm looking at the comments too. So if you see me kind of going over the side, I'm looking at the comments. I want this to be interactive session. So I'm going to stop in the middle, look at all the comments. And then this is a chat section that's showing up here. So it's great. I'm doing this for the first time. So if there are technical hiccups, please excuse me for those. I plan to conduct more trainings as we proceed. But a frequent speaker at various conferences. I've been speaking at conferences for 15 plus years. When I started my career in digital analytics, it was new. I was writing about the content, like the future stuff, what's going to happen. And I was the first one to write about the retargeting, behavioral targeting back in 2006 and 7. So if you look at my blog post from then, that's when I was predicting Google is going to get into it. And that's what happened. So a little bit bragging here. I also was on the board of Digital Analytics Association 10 years ago. I was on the board, but then I quit the board and pretty much vanished from the whole public life for years because my son was born and I had to spend time with family. But then now my son is 12 years old and I'm back into the game and again, speaking at conferences as well as teaching. I've been teaching all along though. I was teaching at University of British Columbia, which had the first web analytics program, and also University of Washington. I've led digital marketing and analytics for various agencies, worked for various startups. I started my own company with few friends. That was 12 years ago. Sold it immediately within a year. We became profitable and sold it to another agency. Great time for an exit because after that, the market crashed. Here, I have created programs from University of Washington, University of British Columbia, where I taught online program. Bellevue College, I work with them extensively, create programs for them, as well as Digital Analytics Association. So I conduct classes for Digital Analytics Association. I also created, or not created, but ran a program for Microsoft for 3 years, teaching them to be more data-driven. How do you make data-driven products? So conducting A/B testing, using the data from different sources. So that's what I did for Microsoft. I put Microsoft here because I created a long-running program. I have created programs for other companies as well, and I'll share with you. Here is just a screenshot of a map that shows I have 30,000 students where they are. majority of them in US and India. Definitely, US is where I am, but scattered all over the world. And these students have taken different courses from me, like Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, Web Analytics, data-driven marketing, data visualization, SQL. So I conduct all end-to-end training as well as provide consulting services as well. Here are some of the clients that I have worked for. Microsoft has been long-running client of mine for pretty much 15 years, I guess. And then worked with Wall Street Journal, ESPN, T-Mobile, etc. as well. All right, that's enough about me. So hopefully that gives you a bit of confidence. Why should you be listening to me? Now, what I'm going to cover in this is Google Tag Manager. What is a tag and tag manager? Understand the benefits of Google Tag Manager. Make sure you understand the tag management mechanism, because that is very critical to understand how it works. And once you get that, you will get how everything is working. And it doesn't just apply to Google Tag Manager. So what I'm going to be teaching applies to other tag management solutions as well. We will be looking at Google Tag Manager specifically when we go in, but the mechanism is the same for all the other tag management solutions as well. And then we'll do setup as page view and event tracking. By no means, this is an extensive course, because there is so much that you can do with Google Tag Manager. And I have two courses. One is the basic, zero to hero, which is available on Udemy. And I'll put a coupon at the very end, as well as on my own platform. And also I have advanced Google Tag Manager course, which is the mastery program. All right, looking at the comments again. Message retracted. All right, somebody wrote and retracted it. What is a tag? What is a tag manager? So let's dive in. What is a tag? You guys are all familiar with, job. I got distracted by something here. So you guys are all familiar with Google Analytics. Google Analytics gives you a bit of JavaScript code that you put on your website, right? That is called a tag. Facebook gives you a JavaScript code that you put on your site. It's called a pixel or a tag. So pixel and tag are pretty much the same thing. Tags are snippets of code, generally JavaScript, or clear images that enable third-party tracking, reporting, and targeting. It could be used for other things as well, but that's what the tags are. Are you guys seeing any kind of delay in my speaking and the screens? If you are, then I can adjust those. But that's what the tags are. And examples: Google Analytics, Google AdWords, Facebook Pixel, and many more. You can imagine any type of JavaScript code that you need to put on your website, and that tracks or allows you to target or report or do something is called a tag. So tag pixels are the same thing. Now, here is an example on how you put these tags on your pages. So you got head section of your HTML page. Once you get this code, you have to have a developer put this code on the head section. Some of them go in the body section, right? So these tags are all over the place. Now, if you have a small website, sure, you're just going to put Google Analytics and maybe Facebook Pixel. But when you are a large enterprise, these tags are various. Tons of tags on different websites. You will be amazed if you look at any site, let's say Wall Street Journal or ESPN or Microsoft, how many tags these guys have put on their site. Why? Because all these tags are doing something very specific. So some are tracking the user behavior, like Adobe Analytics or Google Analytics. Maybe some are screen tracking or the mouse tracking software, such as Hotjar. Then there are retargeting pixels from Facebook, from Google. Then they could be retargeting pixels from the ad networks that they are participating in. Those ad networks allow you to target to a specific audience, or not even just retargeting, but allow you to target a specific audience. They connect the data from different places. So a pixel here and a pixel on Wall Street Journal will connect. And then if Anil Batra is trying to target people who have done specific things on Facebook, I mean on Wall Street Journal, I can go to that vendor and get them to give me that data, not specifically to a particular user, but at an aggregate level. There are other sorts of pixels as well. Anything you can imagine, reporting, we're sending this data to CDP, that pixel will be there. All these ad networks I've already talked about. So you can imagine tons of pixels. You need a developer to put those things. That's the problem. Difficult to manage. Developers place tag all over the pages. Now, if you have to make a change in future, in that scenario, you have to go back to the developers and ask them to make those changes. If developers don't have time, then you are stuck because you have to work with their schedule, and many times that's too late. Any change requires the full blown process that you have to follow within an organization. I'm working with the client right now, and I had a meeting this morning. We've been trying to get this tag live which is actually the tag management tag live for about 2 weeks now. And the meeting is today after like 3 hours from now. And the meeting is to discuss what this tag is going to do, how will we set it up, what's the process, what the QA process and everything, and then whether they have their time or not. And that's a problem anytime you have to make a tag change. It's expensive. Developers have to make the change and then release the code to production, which can require quite a few people in the process, right? You have to follow through the process, the QA process, the approval process, whatever it is. And it takes time. Many people get involved. I mean, I'm involved. I think there is another person that I'm working within the organization. She's working with another person. And then the developers get involved. Imagine like 5-10 people getting involved just to put one tag. And in this case, we're actually putting a tag management tag, which still is a tag, and you have to put it. Once that's done, everything can be managed within Tag Manager. And that's what I'm talking about here, is what is a tag manager. Tag Manager allows you to put just one JavaScript snippet, right? Once you put it, rather than all the scripts here, you just put tag management manager code. Once that code is live, you can manage everything within the tag manager. So all your pixels, everything will go in there. Now, this gives control to marketers. They don't have to be dependent on the developers. I can go and manipulate. You guys can all go manipulate that. So how does this work? Once that tag manager container is there, it's basically have all the code and it is ready to listen to the events on the page or browser. So that tag management, that's why it allows you to manage any kind of tag without putting it on the code, on the page itself, which makes it very easy for, like I said, for marketers. No more dependence on IT, can get changes made to tag within matter of minutes or if not hours. And then you can bypass some of the IT process, QA process. Other benefits that are, you can fire tags based on the rules you define. So you don't have to like fire everything and code a bunch of things on your page. You don't have to have developers code all these things. You can fire based on rules, and these tag managers, which is basically an interface where you can define the rules when you want to fire certain thing. You pull data from pages and send to a specific tag. That's what also you can do. If you will go the traditional route, which is putting the pixel, then you have to have a developer write the code. Let's say if I want to pull a value from the product and say it's a product price. In order to do that, I will have to have a developer code that before sending the data. However, using a tag manager, as you will see, you can pull tons of information from a page and send to the tag. You can set orders of tags that you want to fire. I want to fire this one first, this one second, and so on, or wait for this tag before this tag is fired. Makes it very, very easy for marketers to manage those things. Now, if you really want to get the complete benefit of tag management solution, because it can do tons of stuff, you will need to know a bit of JavaScript and HTML coding. Not too deep, depending on how deep you want to go. But if not, then I had a question, this question come up on the Facebook group where somebody was saying, we need to know JavaScript. You really don't need to know JavaScript. I can't claim to be a JavaScript expert, but enough to understand how it works. But if you really want to excel and become the tag management guru, you will have to learn JavaScript and HTML. But if you just want to use it for marketing, specific marketing analytics purposes, and your job is to provide insights, and tag management or is one part of your job, you will get by without knowing too much of JavaScript or any JavaScript. It has easy integration with Google Analytics that's specific to Google Tag Manager that allows you to set advanced tracking. So any advanced tracking that you had to do earlier required you to set these things in the page itself, like custom dimensions, you want to pass any event tracking you want to do. But with Google Analytics integration, it's very, very easy for you to do those things by just clicking a few buttons here and there. So how does tag management process works? This applies to every tag management out there. The basic construct is do something when something happens. So remember this, do something when something happens. That's what the tag management process is. One guy asked me about this, and this question keeps coming up a lot, which is, hey, what's the difference between Google Analytics and tag management or Google Tag Manager? Well, Google Analytics is a data collection and processing and reporting tool. That's what it does. It collects the data, processes it so that it can be created into nice reports, and then provides you the reports. Then you as an analyst go into those reports, find the meaning within those reports. So that's another thing I want to call out is the role of an analyst is to find the meaning in that data, not just look at and report the data. Like, hey, we got 15 visits here, 20 visits here. That's not the purpose. Even an 11-year-old, 12-year-old can do that. The purpose is to find what does this tell you. So focus on those things. Now, tag management, on the other hand, is just a rules engine. Think about this. Do something when something happened. It doesn't collect any data. It doesn't process anything unless you tell it to do certain things. It's not reporting anything. It can send the data to other reports if you would like. You can directly send information over to your database if you would like, if you want to get it to that level. It can do those things. It's a rules engine. Do something when something happens. So keep that in mind. And this applies to pretty much every tool, every tag management tool that's out there. Do something, some action when condition is met. That's it. So here are examples. Send page view data to Google Analytics. That's the do part when page loads. So by doing so, you will be tracking a page view in Google Analytics. Send event tracking data to Google Analytics when user clicks on a button. That'll be tracked as an event. So you're doing something when something is happening. Send event tracking data to Google Analytics when user downloads a file. Any action that user is taking can be tracked and can be passed or can be set as when condition. And they're called triggers in Google Tag Manager. When is the trigger? I said download a file. You can send, it can be any action, scrolling on a page, clicking on an element, anything. So remember the slide I showed you how the Google Tag Manager works? It's basically a JavaScript code that's listening to the events on a page as user is moving the mouse, as they are clicking, as they are scrolling on the page. Those are all the things that are happening. And this code is listening. Listening means it's keeping track of all those things. And when you tell it to do something based on what the action user took, then it'll get activated and it'll do what you tell it to do. So in this case right here, do set a custom dimension in Google Analytics. When user logs in, you can do that. And you have to define what a user login state is. Do pick shopping cart information and send it to Facebook retargeting pixel when user adds product to shopping cart. So those kind of things. These are some of the examples, but you can think of any scenario. Do something when something, do something when something. And I'll go into Google Tag Manager interface and show you exactly how this is done. Here are other tag management solutions: Insighten, Tagman, Telium, Satellite, OpenTag. Actually, I forgot to put in Adobe Launch. Adobe Launch is enterprise level tag management solution. Not very different, I would say, but from other tag solutions, but it has integration with Adobe Analytics, like Google Tag Manager has built-in integration with Google Analytics. However, there are many third-party templates available, which can make it easy for you to use these tag managers for any solution that you want. Recently, we use Google Tag Manager for Adobe Analytics tracking. Not the cleanest solution, but since the company was using Google Tag Manager for other places or other sites, they didn't want us to use Adobe Launch in that particular site. So we had to use Google Tag Manager and send data to Adobe Analytics. So all these solutions will work with any analytics solution that you have. All right, before I dive into this, creating an account, any questions you have, if you have, please type in the questions here so that I can look at these questions and answer. If not, I'll proceed to the next step. No, all good? All right. Okay, if all is good, then I'm gonna move to the next step. So creating an account. To create an account, you have to go to Google Tag Manager. So google.com/tag manager. So I'm going to switch my screens. And meanwhile, if you do have any questions, feel free to type in here. I'm just going to switch screens here. So bear with me. Managing two screens is difficult. All right, new share, and let me know when you see my screen here. Gonna go back to make sure I can read you guys' stream. All good, okay. All right, see my screen? The tag management, cool. So, all right, so go to google.com/tag manager and you will come to tag management screen. Click on sign it to tag manager. If you already have an account, that's where you'll go. But here is your tag manager screen where you can manage accounts. So think of accounts tied to, if you are working for one site, then you only have one account. If you are working as an agency, then you will have different customers and you will manage different accounts. So think of account as tied to one customer is the easiest way to explain it. Within each account, you have containers. Containers are tied to a site. So for example, in Google Analytics, you have account and you have properties. Think about container as a property tied to a property. To create an account, simply click on create account. This is where you can type in the company name, country, and what kind of container are you setting up. Container is that the code, the tag management code where you'll put. So think about it, it's containing all the tags. And what are you using it for? So let's say if I have test GA Academy one because I already have one. And I'm going to call it anilbatra.com. And I'm going to be using it for web. So what kind of target platform do you have? Is it a website, iOS app, Android app, accelerated mobile pages, or the server side? This is a new instrumentation or the new type of instrumentation that's has been released, still in beta by Google Tag Manager. So rather than being the container or tagging everything on the client side, this can be on the server side. So for now, we're just focusing on the web, and you click on create. Go ahead and read those things if you care about them. Once you're done, oh, where is, click on yes. Oh, what happened? Did it not create? Oh, it's taking forever. Okay, once that's done, you will get a you will get Google Tag Manager code. So you have this code that needs to go on the head of your pages. So rather than putting all the scripts like you are putting Google Analytics scripts, you're just putting this container code. And then this goes into the body. This is one time that you will need developers to do it, unless you yourself have access to the site. So I'm going to show you how this gets done and then how it's done in the WordPress site as well. I'm assuming a lot of you have WordPress blogs or sites that you're working with. So I'm going to go here to analyticshire.com. And as you can see, here is a code from Google Tag Manager that goes into the head section. So here's the head section. And this code goes into the head section of the site. And then this goes into the body section right before the body starts. This code has to be on every single page of your site. If you do not put on every single page of your site, then it's not going to fire or work on those pages that doesn't have it. I have seen this issue come up a lot of time where people are like, hey, I put it on the homepage, I can't track this. Well, you won't be able to track this anything because the code is not on other pages. So most of the sites have a header section, like it's an include file that gets included on every page. If not, then that's a problem with the whole process in the company, but usually they do have it. So all they need to do is put this in the header and you're done, and then one in the footer or the body section, wherever they have that section. Sometimes this could be at the very bottom. That's fine. It just has to be within the body section. Now, that's all you have to do. Once that's done, Google Tag Manager is now available for you to use. I'm going to go to now in WordPress and show you how you can install that in WordPress. Meanwhile, please stop me if you have any questions at all. So I'm going to go to another site, anilbatra.com. And I haven't written blog posts in a while, but I used to write a lot of blog posts here. And then I'm going to customize it to show you. So in your WordPress site, what you have to do is install a plugin. A plugin in WordPress allows you to put Google Tag Manager code easily without messing up with the code. Those who are not familiar with WordPress or are interested in setting up their WordPress site, I have tons of videos on my blog here, on my YouTube channel, which walk you through how to set up your WordPress blog. I also conducted a free training on that as well. If somebody's interested, let me know. I might conduct it again. So install plugins is where you can see all the plugins that are installed for this site. And this is the one, which is Google Tag Manager for WordPress by Thomas Geiger. That's the one you need. If you don't have that, just simply click on add new plugin right here. And then you can type in Google Tag Manager. and you can find that plugin here. Once you find it, click on add. I have to update this, but I'm not going to do that right now. So once that's done, then you will come to this section where it says install plugins, and you will be able to set that plugin. So once that plugin is available, click on settings. And this is where you need to put your Google Tag Manager ID. So let me show you how you get this. Go back to Google Tag Manager. See this ID right here? That's the one you need. This, I just set it up, so these IDs are not matching, but for my real site, it does match. That's the ID you need. You need to take it and put it right here. You can also see that ID if I close this right here. If you ever need the code back again, just click on this link and you will have the code again. But that's the ID you need. Once that ID is set up, you can decide where you want Google Tag Manager to be placed. Footer, custom, needs tweak to your templates. Easiest way is to use footer. That might do a little bit of a problem in tracking advanced stuff, but not for general page view tracking, event tracking. It works fine. I've tried it. So you can put it, because footer is not where the code is supposed to be. The code is supposed to be in the head section. You can do that too if you're familiar with WordPress. There are other options as well. But for starters, I would suggest leave it at footer and put this code. There are other stuff that you can do as well, like scroll tracking, events, etc. Just leave it as it is, I would suggest. And then once you do it, click on Save Changes. Now, the Google Analytics code is live on your site. So I'm going to go in this tracking code in Google Tag Manager to show you how it works. But that's all you need to do. By just putting the code, your tracking is live. Okay. Once that's done, then now you're ready to set up everything else. So I'm going to walk you through this interface. Any questions so far? Going to give a break. No? Come on, you have to have some questions. All right. Feel free to type in your questions. So in this is the interface of Google Tag Manager. I've already shown you where you can get your tracking code if you ever need it, right here. Then what you're seeing here is a workspace. What does workspace means? Workspace means it's a copy of your working environment. So this is your area where you're making changes to. Remember that do, when, those things you will define here. This is your area of working. Once you're satisfied with what you're working, you need to send this, make it live. So you're pushing the code out to the container. Does the plugin allow putting into head section? Yes, it does. You can do that. You'll have to tweak your page a bit. So once you go into the code itself, you will see here, it has option, which is custom, need to tweak your template. The main GTM container will be placed into the head section. So it gives you instructions on how to do it. Yes, so it will allow you to do that as well. So if you have any questions, ever run into issues, feel free to reach out to me. Generally, I allow my students to have 30-minute time with me when they are enrolled in my programs. So every month you can have a 30-minute one-on-one call or 15-minute calls. And I generally also spend more time if you need it, if I have time. So reach out to me. I'll try my best. If not, I can have one of my students help you as well. Okay, going back. This is the area where you will be making changes. Once your changes are done, you will push it out and that'll become available on the site. Till that's pushed out to the site, those changes are not live. That means any changes you make here are not affecting your live site. So what can you do here? You can create a new tag. Tag is do something, right? What do you want to do? Trigger is something that's a condition, that's a rule. I want this to happen. So triggers are defining the condition And those triggers are then firing the tags. So these are the when conditions, these are the do conditions. You also have variables. Just like any other programming language, variables allow you to hold the data as you're passing between different tags, as you're pulling the data from the web page, or even passing to the web page. Advanced tracking can allow you to do that. And then folders are your ways of organizing your tags and triggers, just like any folders on your computer. They allow you to put in logical order or logical groupings. And then templates are third-party templates that have been created for you to make your tracking easier. Let's say if you want to track call data into your call center, and you're using a tool that they can publish a container or a template that you can then use for your tracking. So those kind of things are available. Many several party or many third-party templates are available here in this area. So you can search the gallery for tag templates and also variable templates as well. All right, I'm not going to cover those advanced topics in this training because we don't have limited time, but I'm going to go through the main ones here, tags and triggers. So I'm going to switch the account to my actual Anil Batra account rather than this account. Oh, where did it go? Not this one. All right. Yeah, I think this is the one. Yep. LHV, let me just make sure. Yep, that's the same code. GTM 5Z and KL. Yep, that's the one. All right, so this is for my Anil Batra site here. So tags is where you can start by creating. I'm going to quickly create one tag and then explain it to you. So you click to create a tag, you click on new, and this is where you define a tag and then you define a condition. You have to give a name and then you can assign it to a folder. Let's say I'm going to call it GA tracking. GA based tracking is what I'm going to call it. What this is going to do is this is a page view tracking for Google Analytics. So you give a name, then you have to define what do I want to do. I want to fire a page view pixel in Google Analytics. So click in the middle or in this pencil icon. So click here. And then you have the tag types. There are several types available if you'll notice. You have Google Analytics, Google Ad Marketing, Conversion Linker, Google Optimize, A/B Test, TFT, ClickTail, etc. See tons of tags. More and more of these options are coming up as Google is trying to integrate with several different tools. So you can take a look at whatever tag you want to fire. In this case, I am going to fire Google Analytics Universal Analytics tag. Stay here. I don't know what happened here. And then you have to track what type of tracking are you trying to do in Google Analytics. I'm trying to do a page view tracking, right? There are other options like event tracking, transaction tracking, social timing, decorate link, and decorate form. We're not going to go into those. I'm going to focus on these two for now. So page view tracking, which means I want to track page views on my site. Then it needs to know where do you want to send this data to? Okay, I have a question. Can I record it or can we watch the video to recap everything? Yes, you will get this recording. This recording will also be available on the channel, the YouTube channel. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. I hope you do. Because I'm putting lots of more videos and any future trainings will be there as well. So you will get access to it. I'll send the link out in case it gets lost because I think the live is hidden somewhere on the channel. But then you need to know, okay, I want to track page view, but which Google Analytics do I need to send this to? So you can set Google Analytics tracking ID right here. In order to do that, because you will be using that Google Analytics tracking ID, and let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go to google.com analytics. Oh, I'm going to go here actually. That's the ID. That's your Google Analytics ID. So if you're not familiar with Google Analytics, then become familiar with it. But I'm assuming all of you are, and I'm going to read the questions here. I'm going to be there in a minute. That's the ID that you use. And this ID is your property ID that you can get from admin panel going to the property. You take this ID and that's the ID you need to pass here. But you can't just type in the value here. You have to put this in a variable. So I have already created a variable called Google Analytics setting, and that's the variable I can use, and then hit save. If I hit save, it's going to ask me for the trigger. So let's say if I go and click on save, I can just save the tag or I add a trigger as well. I want to add a trigger. So for now, what I've done is do something. I want to track page view in this Google Analytics, and I'm going to show you how to set the variable. But then when do I want to track this is the condition. So I say add trigger, and this is where I can add a trigger. For now, you're seeing there are 3 triggers that I've already set up. In order to set a new trigger, you'll click plus, and this is where you can set a different type of trigger, and I'll go through that in a minute. But for now, I am just going to use all pages because I want to fire this on all the pages. Once that's done, click on save, and your tracking will be now sent on all pages to Google Analytics. Granted, you push this code out to the container and publish it, which I'll show you in a minute. So once you hit save, your GA page view tracking is live, and you can verify it by clicking here and checking all the condition. If you want to edit something, you simply go here. You can delete a condition if you would like. But that's how it's set up. Now I'm going to go show you how the variables are set. So any questions so far? Let me just read it. Already I have Google Analytics Universe connected my WordPress site through all-in-one. I connect. Yes, if you are using page view tracking in 2 different containers or 2 different codes, it'll double count it. So if you are setting up via Google Tag Manager and also have the base code on your website or through another plugin, it'll double count. When it double counts, your bounce rate will be 0. I'm sure you guys have seen many discussions about from people who say, hey, my bounce rate is now close to 0. It dropped. I don't know what happened. I can guarantee you it's double tagging. They put in either a GTM or some other plugin or the code twice. That's what it causes. So 0 bounce rate is an indicator your tracking is broken. So yes, you have to disconnect one of them. All right. So once that's done, let me now go and show you how variables are set up. So click on X here, go to variables. And this is where you can set up variables. You have some built-in variables which automatically track bunch of data on your site. So like click classes, if you click an element, it captures which class ID, HTML ID was clicked. What was the target? So if you click on a link that takes you to another page, this captures that information. Click URL, host name, etc. There are many more built-in variables that allow you to take your tracking to next level. So in order to do those, you click on configure, and you can see the list of variables that are available for you. Like here, you have the history, how the user was looking, what pages they have looked at, videos, and then this is, what's the URL, title, etc. of the video that was played, how far the user is scrolling, whether they are looking at a particular portion of the screen or not, those variables. And you have the form elements, you have the click elements, errors, any JavaScript errors, any other events or container ID, etc., and then page information. So built-in variables allow you to quickly track a bunch of information without doing any configuration or coding. All you have to do is make that variable available. So let's say if I click on click ID, the click ID will start to show up here, right here. If I click on click element, the click element also shows up here. So once I'm done, I can click on X. Now those variables are available. Other than that, you can also define your own variables. So Google Analytics tracking ID is my own variable because Tag Manager does not know anything about it. I have to tell it which ID I want to use for Google Analytics tracking. So you click on new and you give your variable a name. Let's say GAID is what I call it. You can call it whatever you want. I always suggest for your tags, triggers, variables, set up a naming convention that you can use and everybody in your organization can understand. The more details you give, the better it is. Like I have used Google Analytics setting or any ID you can use, but it's entirely up to you. There's no hard and fast rule about it. You give a name. If you want to assign it to a folder, click on it and create a new folder and it'll put it right there. I'm just going to leave it here. Then you configure this variable. So click in the middle. And what you're trying to do is, here are the values that it can pull or set. First party cookie, it can read, write first party cookie, advanced tracking. I'm not going to get into that, but my course does go into that. Custom JavaScript variable. What we are looking for is Google Analytics setting. There are a bunch of other stuff you can do, but that's all I want to do because I'm setting up Google Analytics tracking ID that I want to use in my Google Tag Manager and pass that information. So click on it. And this is where you need to pass that ID that you got from here. So tracking ID, and you pass it right here. That's it. And you hit save. I'm not going to do that because I already have this. I'm going to discard chain and show you how I did it. This is all I did. Same ID and auto. Once you start to create triggers or things, tags, triggers, you'll see them here. So what is this referring to or where it's being used? But if you haven't set up anything, you won't see it. That's it. So you'll only see this information. You won't have this information available at that point. So once that variable is set up, now you can use it as I used in this tag, GA page view track right here. Google Analytics setting, that's the name of the variable. If you have to pick, it won't automatically show here. So in order to pick that, you'll click on new variable and you can set it up right here, or you can pick up from the list right here. So once that's done, click on save and your variable is ready. Since I have two base tracking here, I just set it up one for your example. I'm going to delete one of them. They are both the same stuff. So I'm going to delete this one and click on delete. Once your tag is done, then what you need to do is you need to test it out to make sure it's tracking properly. In order to do that, you put your tag container in a preview mode. So what that'll allow you to do is test it out before you release it. So click on preview. Now your tag is in a preview, or tag manager is in a preview mode. When I go to my site at this point, this is anilbatra.com, you'll notice that a small window shows up at the bottom. This is a debugging window right here. This debugging window shows me which tags were fired, which tags were not. Since I loaded the page, I want the GA page view tag to fire. That's what it fired. Clicking on this tag will show me the details about what it's setting or firing. So as you can see, it's the Google Analytics setting. It's using the Google Analytics setting variable, and it's a page view type of tag. A great way to debug your code and make sure everything is firing. Once that's done, you can also go to Google Analytics, real-time report. Oh, what happened here? It's the same code. All right, I'll have to check what happened here, but it should start to see, this tells me, even though the tag is firing right here, something is wrong and it's not going to my site, which means I will have to check this change to make sure everything is installed properly. But I should be able to see a real-time report that shows me the data is coming across. Yeah, 33520 and variable. Yeah, I'll have to check, but that should actually work. If it's not working, something else is wrong here. But preview mode is showing you that where did the preview mode go? Yeah, preview mode is showing that the data is getting over to Google Tag Manager, or is firing as expected in Google Tag Manager. Now, given the time, I'm going to also show you how to do button click tracking. Any questions so far? No? All good so far? No? All right. So next step, I'm going to show you how to track a button click. On anilbatra.com, you'll notice there is a button right here, search button. So I want to track how many people are clicking on that button. So that's what I'm going to do. In order to do that, I need to know something about that button that I can use as a condition when this button is clicked. I need to know the name of this button so that I can track this in my Google Tag Manager. So let me go and do a view source and do a search. Right here is the button submit, search submit. See that button right here? And the button's class is search submit. So search submit is the class of that button. I'm going to use this as a condition to fire. So when somebody clicks on a button which has a class of search submit, I want to fire an event in Google Analytics. That's what I'm going to do. So do is fire event tracking in Google Analytics when somebody clicks on that button. And how do I know which button? I know that button by the name of the class of that button. It could be anything. There could have been an ID of the button. Whatever uniquely defines that button, you can use it in Google Tag Manager to track that. So I'm going to go to Google Tag Manager and click on tags and click on new. This is where I'm going to do button tracking. Click in the tag configuration. I'm again going to use Google Analytics, but this time rather than page view, I am going to be setting it as an event. So I pick event, and those who are familiar with Google Analytics, if you're not, then please, I suggest you look at Google Analytics, but there are certain values you can pass to this event. What's the category, action, and label? There are no set defined values. You can pick whatever makes sense for you. You can define your category. You can call it button click. Action might be search button clicked. Because if I want to create a big category of all the button clicks, I can define each and every button. And then for the label, I can put in any values. Any of these variable or these values, you can either type in a value or you can pick a value from any variable. So for label, I'm going to pick a value from from one of the variables. So click on plus, and here are all the values that are available. I can even, remember when I showed you the built-in variables, you can configure other built-in variables as well. You can pick any of these values. So for now, what I'm going to do is I am going to pick a value that shows me the page URL where the user search from. So page URL is what I'm going to pick. You can pick anything that makes sense for you. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm tracking this search button click as an event in Google Analytics. I'm passing in the category of, I'm passing in the name as button click for the category. For the action, I'm saying it's a search button click. And for the label, I want to know which page the user clicked on the search button from. That's going to give me very actionable information. So I'll know, hey, people tend to click on search from this URL, or these are the most types of buttons that are clicked, something like that. You can leave the value undefined as it is or blank. Pick your Google Analytics variable. Remember that one? Easy, right? We already set that up. And then this is where a lot of confusion comes up. Non-interaction hit. What does that mean? So non-interaction hit basically means that do you want to count this interaction by user against bounce rate or not? So if the non-interaction hit is true, in that condition, what I'm saying is, let's say a user clicks on this, comes to my site and searches for something, and that search is taking user to a different domain altogether. In that case, Google Analytics will count it as bounce, right? Because only one interaction happened on your site. However, you might want to count that as a valid interaction. Say, hey, I wanted to send users to that domain. That domain is also owned by me. In that case, I want to count this against my bounce rate, or lower my bounce rate. In that case, you'll say it is false. It's kind of weird on how Google Analytics has done, or Google Tag Manager has done it, because people have a very hard time understanding this. And even I sometimes get confused. What does that even mean? So pay attention to this. Do you want this to be a non-interaction or not? Right? That's how you think about it. So is it a non-interaction or true? Yes, I want to count this as a bounce rate. False, I don't want to count it as a bounce rate. So most of the time I will leave it as true, but you can think about it, what makes sense for your business, because there is no right or wrong answer. Once you're done that, you can set up your trigger. So I'm going to click on trigger, or I can just hit save and it'll prompt me to add trigger. Add trigger. When do I want to fire this? I have already defined a trigger. If not, I can just simply click on plus, but I'll show you what I've already defined. I've already defined a button click, and I am going to show you how this button click actually works. So click here. Oh, why do I keep going in circles? Anyway, I'm going to save this one, button click, save it, and I'll show you the button click trigger. Go to trigger, button click. The way I have defined this is, actually, why don't I just create from scratch? Trigger, so that it's no confusion. So I'm going to call it button click trigger. Give it a name, click in the middle, and then here you can pick the type of trigger, type of event that you want to listen to. What is the user doing? When the user is viewing the page, when the DOM is ready on the page, when the window is loaded fully, is the user clicking on something? Those things you can track any of these actions. So all elements, just links. If there is a particular element being viewed, is the form being submitted, etc. In our case, we want to track all elements, because not just links. It's a form, it's a button. So you click on all elements, which means it'll track every element that's user clicks. It could be an image, it could be a div ID or something. So click on all elements. I want to track when user clicks on any type of element. However, I do not want to trigger on every element. I only want to do on some clicks. I only want to do where the click class contains. Let me go here, search submit. That's all. I want to only trigger this when the click class contains search submit. Here is the click, the element that was clicked, and the class name is search submit. You can have click element ID, target URL, anything you can think of that uniquely defines that action that you want to track. You will put that condition here. So in my case, I know it's a search submit is the name of the class. When that's clicked, I want to fire this event. Once that's done, you can hit save. You can have multiple conditions. So let's say if you have several such submit buttons, but they have unique names or something other, you can put those conditions here as well. So once you're done, click on save. And then you can assign that newly one to this. So I can go and edit, delete it, pick my button click trigger and save it. Okay, refresh. Whenever you have to do refresh, you have to do refresh again. Now, when I go back to anilbatra.com and I'm going to click on this button, I have to reload this page, make sure everything is working fine. And click on this, you can see when I clicked on it, these tags got fired because I have 2 tags. And clicking on this tag will show you what exactly is being sent. This is being sent as an event. Action is search button click, category is button click, and then label is page URL. All that information is being sent to Google Analytics. And here's the Google, it's sending it to Google Analytics. Make sense? Questions? So once your preview is working fine, you go back and say, okay, this is working fine. I am ready to push it out to live. You click on submit button, give it a name and say it's page view and button tracking, whatever name you want. You can give more description if you want, like this is a test in the live class. Okay, once you're done, click on publish, and now it'll be pushed to the live site. That's it. You can see all the history of changes that you have made by clicking on these versions. Google Tag Manager also allows you to roll back. How do I preview the fire tag? So for the preview, great question. You'll have to use Chrome browser. I forgot to mention that. You'll have to use Chrome browser, and then you go into your tag manager right here in the workspace. You have to put it in the preview mode. That's how you will be able to preview. So Chrome, and you have to click on the preview mode. Your base container also has to be published. If not, then it won't work. So 3 things: Chrome window, publish your container to your live site. It could be an empty container, and then click on preview. Once you do the preview, this preview window will automatically show up right here. And it also shows you what all different messages are coming as your page is loading. What has the user done, or what the browser itself is doing. You can look at every stage and see what happened. Like, let's say here, when the click happened, but you don't have to worry about it. This is the summary. That's all you care about is the tag getting fired or not. Make sense? So those who want to try it out and haven't done this before, there is, I would suggest figure out how to do external link tracking. So let's say on analytics, anilbatra.com, I have a page called training. And I have to see why it's a Google Tag Manager is not showing up in real time. That's something I have to check. Maybe there is a filter on my own thing. I'll have to check it out. But go here. This is external URL. So clicking on this will take me to another site, right? So how do I track that? Is a assignment you guys can go through and send me. I'll be happy to check. I have that tag already available and I can quickly show you if you want to see, but external link tracking, similar to what I did earlier, it's passing in the event and the main thing is the trigger. So I'm just gonna go show you the just links trigger. That's it. So go try it on your own. Where click URL does not contain Anil Batra, which tells me it's an external link. So somebody clicking on that link and going to an external site. So go ahead and try it on your own, on your site, put an external link and try to capture it. Other things you can try is try other variables, other things that you want to track. Think about what you want to track for your business. Is a person viewing a particular element? Is somebody watching the video on your site, etc. Anything you can imagine, you can track. But few things I want to talk about before I leave this training today. And I'm open for questions. So any questions that you want to ask me, please post them here. Few things. You'll see a lot of hacks or people talking about track this, track that. How do I track this? How do I track that? I can tell you all that tracking stuff is fun because it's creative, but does not really add much value to the business. I was reading a research study last night from one of the leading research companies, and they're saying they're disappointed with the value marketing analytics is bringing to the organization. Why? Why is that? The number one reason is the data quality. And people mention that. And that has always been something that I always talk about. Data quality is critical. If you read my blogs from past, I've talked about this. Data quality is the number one issue. So when you're so caught up in track everything, you're missing the point of tracking. Why do we do marketing analytics, web analytics? Why do we do it? The sole purpose of web analytics is to improve customer experience and improve marketing. You're basically bringing value to the business and your customers. By tracking everything, all you're doing is cluttering your reports with tons of data that does not mean much to any stakeholder. What if somebody saw an image on your page? What if somebody scrolled 50% or more? What are you going to do with that? Yes, the hack is cool. If you are kind of hacker type, developer type, you want to track that. But as a business analyst, I always question that and say, why are we even doing it? What's the point? Who is going to be using it and how and why? So when you're doing this, think about that. You have to have a proper tracking plan tied to your business objective. And that's something I cover in my full Become a Digital Analyst course, that people go through this whole process of like holistic view, not just tracking this and that. So even though I'm doing this tracking class here, keep that in mind. You can track everything, but that does not mean you should track everything. So that's my 20-second rant on this issue that I keep seeing. And that is why when you focus too much on tracking everything, you're missing the point and not providing the value. And as a result, they cut the analytics team out. If you want to be valuable, think about what the business wants, not what you can do. And if the business wants something or business can benefit from it, then definitely by all means do it. So that's why, remember I said, you don't need to know JavaScript and stuff. None of this required JavaScript. A lot of tracking can be done without knowing JavaScript. Bit pieces here and there when I get into like the data layers and stuff. But even then, you do not need deep JavaScript skills. Hope that helps. Hope this training was useful. I will love to get your feedback. If you like this training, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to reach out to me. I also want to hear your ideas about what other trainings will make sense, whether it's Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Web Analytics, BigQuery, SQL. I do tons of training across different aspects. I've been working in this field before even Google Analytics existed. Know the ins and outs of the tools. So anything that you guys run into, would love to hear from you what you want to hear from me in these free trainings. And those who are interested in becoming digital analysts, check out my program that started yesterday, launched yesterday, but I've delayed it by a week because one of the students had issues. So everybody said, okay, let's do it next week or week from 2 weeks from now. So it's still there is time to go and sign up for that. And there is also internship option after the training is complete. So you'll be working on a real project as well as you'll get internship option to work on Adobe Analytics kind of tools with my team. All right. I'm here for a few more minutes. I'll leave it open as long as you guys want to stay and ask question. Anything that I covered, you want to go back, I'm here for you. Tell me. I think you needed coding knowledge because in your example of search button, I wouldn't be able to find the class of the button. Actually, I don't even know where to find it. Okay, you don't need coding. I think you missed the point here. Maybe I went too fast. Coders are putting the class. You do a view source on your browser. Any web page, you can do a view source. You need basic understanding of maybe HTML. So what you're trying to do is, I want to track this button. That's what I started. Let me show you again. So I want to track the search button. This is the search button, right? So I need to find search ... and see where it's coming from or something search. So I went into here and I started looking for search. And I think it's ... So search, I actually did a search. And this is all the admin bar stuff. Right here, it shows me the search. Placeholder for search. Right? That's all the thing that I need to know. Hey, here is my search button because that's what user is seeing. And placeholder is like here, search and help. That's it. That's where I picked the class from. You will need that much of information. If you tell a coder that's coding, then they will laugh because it's the basic understanding of HTML. So yes, you do need, anytime you're working with web stuff, having a basic understanding of HTML will definitely help. What are the elements? How do you do anchor tags? How do you do button? But you do not need deep understanding of JavaScript or any coding. Give it a try. You'll be surprised like how fast you pick these things up. Cool. Any other questions? Yeah, and the best way is keep trying it. Practice, practice, practice. If you want to go into data layers as well, which is another element that I talk about, another tracking, we sometimes conduct a 5-day training, which is like a 5-day, 30 minutes each day. And I've covered a bunch of that stuff here. It's a 5-day challenge. So each day you get like a 10-minute of lesson and then assignment. Lesson and assignment, lesson, assignment, and solution. So you can learn by doing it. But if you walk away from here and not practice this, you'll lose it. But if you keep practicing, you will find new stuff and say, what about this? What about this? What happened here? Cool. Any other questions? If you are interested, I will also give you an option to subscribe to, because I have 25 plus courses, and Google Analytics, A/B testing, Google Optimize, Google Data Studio, Google Tag Manager, Advanced, and beginners, or not beginners. Beginners. This was a beginner one. Very people who are starting out. There is a advanced version of this, and then another advanced version, as well as Google Analytics. So I can send you a coupon for that, so you guys can get started if you would like. Definitely, I would love to have you as a student. Okay, can you show again where these GTM tracking appears in Google Analytics reports? Yes, let me show you that, because somehow something happened. So there was a page view, is general page view, and behavior. Let me events overview. This site is rarely used because maybe I haven't made this live. I hardly use this site, anilbatra.com. I used to write a lot of stuff on this one. So let me pick another site here, and I'm going to show you. Hold on. Demo account. I'm going to use Google Demo Store account. So when you pass this event tracking to Google, so one is the page view. Page view is general tracking. It tracks, you'll see users, sessions, etc., page views, etc. But when you pass in event information, that shows up in under behavior in events. So you go to overview and you can see this report, or you can go to top events, and that shows you the event category. Remember, I was passing the category value. And when you click on the category, you can see the event actions. So let me go back here and click on this tag. So categories, action, I'm button click, but the example I'm showing here, in this case, they are passing these values. Enhanced e-commerce, action is quick view click, add to cart, etc. And then you can even see the labels they are passing. But this is where you will see those values. How many people are doing that particular event, how many actions are happening, labels, etc. Yeah, so button click data will show up here as well. However, as you noticed, it's not actually real-time report is not working for me. So I have to check that and figure out why it's not working. Let me actually do this. Maybe this is the problem here. Hold on. Submit. Maybe I can just sit here and debug what's going on. Okay. And go, where did I go? What happened here? All right, what I'm gonna do is, maybe something is wrong with that plugin. So what I'm gonna do is setting here, plugins, install plugins, and deactivate Maybe I haven't updated it. That might be causing the issue. So then I'm going to go Google Tag Manager, workspace, click this code, go back to your peer header. No, not right here. See if this will fix it. If not, then I will have to check in and then get back to you. What's going on here? Nope, something is wrong. I have to check what it'll show up under behavior and events. Right here is where you will see all that information. Right here, it'll start to show up. So something is not working on this one. I'm not sure. I can spend time looking at it, or I can get back to you on how to do that. Let me try one more thing here. Theme functions, cancel update file. Yeah. Oh, why is it saying that? Let's try it after this. What's the difference between goal and event on Google Analytics? Can I track a button by creating a goal? Yes. Button by creating a goal? No. You can, goal is an action that you want to track as something, as a success measure. So an event can be used as a goal. Somebody did this event is a success for me. That's a goal. Somebody viewed this page is a goal. So you can use events as goals, but not goals as events. Does that make sense? Event is just an action tracking. Goal is something specific and say, we want users to do this. So when a user clicks on a search button, that's a goal. So I would consider that as a success. So you're tracking that as an event and then using that event as a goal. All right, update. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check this one. Something is weird here. I'm not exactly sure why it's not tracking here. Yeah, something is broken on this one, but it'll start to show up in this one in your event tracking. And to do a goal tracking, this is what you will do. You go in admin and you define a goal. in this goal setting, you can define what you want to track. So event is what you can define. So let's say it's test goal, continue, and then you define what category, what action, what label, and what value you want to use for that goal. Make sense? All right. Okay, if there are no more questions, then that's it. And I will figure out what's going on, and I might post a second video, or if you have questions, then reach out to me, because I'm not sure what exactly happened. Maybe I deleted something as I was going through and I can't sit here and debug, but something is definitely not working. And that's why you're not seeing real time. And that's the kind of debugging you will do, because usually you will see, or not usually, but always you will see that report coming into real-time reports here. You'll see that data flowing through to Google Analytics. Cool. Cool. You're welcome. And yeah, please let me know what other trainings would you like me to conduct on this channel or in this live sessions. I'll be happy to go through those things if it means, Google Analytics, something that fits within an hour, hour and a half, I'm happy to do. So let me know and they'll be happy to do that. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye. No more questions, right? I'm going to wait till all of you drop off till that's when I'm going to end this session. I want you guys to think, ask me a question. Cool. All right. Still have 11 people on the chat, on watching this. So I want to make sure everybody's question is answered. If you haven't given a thumbs up on this video, please do so. And make sure to hit the subscribe button, because I post a lot of free videos from my courses on the channel. And generally they are like a little dated, because but they're still applicable, dated in the sense I refresh my courses with new content and I put the old content on these channels, but they're still relevant. It's just the audio quality might not be as good, but still, those who can't buy or don't want to enroll in the courses, they can still benefit from these. Cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what this analytics thing did not work. I should have tested, but given how much work is going on, I could not test it at the very last minute. So I'm gonna make sure next training I do, everything is checked before that's done, because it should show up in this data here or in this tracking. Cool. All right, guys. No more questions? One, going, two, three. All right, I'm gonna end. 7 people are still watching, but nobody's asking question, and I have to jump and prepare for my next meeting, unless somebody still has a question. And I'm gonna debug this right away before I do my other meeting to make sure why this wasn't working. Fix it. Cool. Thank you, guys. Bye. Thank you very much. It was nice having you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I can see there are tons of likes on the video. So make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what other training I can provide. I'm always here to help whenever I can.